This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live.
Hello there, everybody. You're listening to the Monday Morning Break on this Monday live on the 23rd of September. I'm your host, Kandu Kutik. My guest today is a teacher based in Singapore.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and you are listening live. Tune in live at ttradio.org, or to join in the conversation, download the Podbean app and search Teachers Talk Radio. Follow the hashtag TTRadio. Tune in, talk it out with Teachers Talk Radio.
Hello.
Hi, Sabina.
Hi.
Hi.
My voice, is it clear?
Yes, we can hear you absolutely well. Let's welcome everybody first. Welcome everyone to the show. It's good to have you with us, whether you're listening live on this Monday, midday for me here in Germany, gray, a little bit chilly, 6 p.m. for my guest. My guest today is Sabina Mamadova. And together we will be reflecting on a combined 20 years of international experience. Sabina, thank you so much for being with us. First, though,
Thank you for the invitation. Really, I'm grateful.
no, but we're grateful. You're really gracious with your time. It is 6 p.m. It's the end of the workday for you. So you've had a day of teaching behind you. Before we begin, Sabina, tell us about one thing that made you smile today.
Um, Actually, today, students, they were curious about some scientists because they were asking a lot of questions about the scientists, my year 7 students, and um, I really like this kind of the lessons discussions. If they are curious about any the scientific topics, or for example, today we were discussing about Marie Curie and her works, and also some of the scientists, because in my classroom I've just printed out and laminated some of the scientists pictures, and as a bunting, so I just decorated my classroom, so when they see some of the scientists in this place in the classroom, so they start to ask some questions about them and their research, and some of the students, they shared informations about the scientists. It was nice discussion, and I really loved it for today. This is what I remember from my working day.
Okay, well, that's really nice. That would make me smile as well. That curiosity,
Yeah.
that our students have about what we're doing, and actually, it's quite sweet, quite nice that you mentioned, that lesson you mentioned, Marie Curie. So you are a science teacher. I know that you're a science teacher. You're based in Singapore at an international school, but maybe then begin before we look at this whole international experience and everything. Could you please tell us about yourself, your background, where you trained, um, so on?
Mhm.
Just tell us.
Yeah, I am from Azerbaijan, and I have studied there my bachelor degree, master degree. I have graduated, and then I've started to work in my country for my first teaching place. I was living in the city, but my first school, it was in the rural area, so I had to move to the another place for working as a teacher, and then I decided to work in the international schools with international programs, and then I started to work in IB school with international baccalaureate program, and so I've started actually as a lab assistant. Then I became the science teacher. Then I taught chemistry, biology, but I graduated. My qualification is the teaching of the biology, and then in master degree is the methods and methodology of the biology. And so I worked in my country for like 2 3 years. I worked in my country. Then I moved to the Myanmar for working in the one of the King's Education schools in the Myanmar, and then I worked there as a biology teacher for year 12 and also science teacher for lower secondary with Cambridge curriculum. It was my first time, and this is my like third country, and if I count also my country, and also my fifth school, and so yeah, I've taught from year 5 to 12, like all classes I've taught from 5 to 12, and the science, chemistry, biology, and also I taught with the IB program, the Cambridge program. So changing the schools, working in different schools, it helped me to have the experience with
Okay.
different international programs.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt, but before we go into that, let's backtrack a little. I'm really curious. So you trained, you qualified in Azerbaijan. Oh,
Yeah.
I find it difficult to pronounce
Yes, I
the country.
understand.
I was in a webinar at the weekend, and we had a participant there who was from Azerbaijan, and I had trouble. I was stumbling over the name of the country, but that's not the point here. Let's backtrack a little. I'm always
Mhm,
curious to hear about teacher education programs in different
mhm,
countries, because they're just there's a lot of things that we have that are the same, and you mentioned that in our conversation last week.
mhm,
You mentioned that, at the end of the day, what we learn in our teacher education programs doesn't vary so much from where you are. Teaching is kind of
mhm.
like the same.
Yeah.
It's the culture of the classroom that's different. But like I said, let's backtrack a little. What so for somebody living in Azerbaijan,
Mhm,
if they wanted to become a teacher, what's
mhm.
the process? What do they do? So they take a BA, they do a BA.
First of all, like we are not a native speaker, so that's why we have to. First of all, they have to graduate, of course, from the bachelor degree. Most of the countries they ask the to graduate from the teaching, like to have some teaching qualifications in bachelor degree, and also to have the 2 years experience at least in international schools.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, like because like you are not a native speaker, and so they have to make sure that okay, you have an experience in the teaching in international schools. And so also sometimes like some of the countries they ask about the IELTS certificates, and some maybe the more qualifications, but it's not compulsory actually. uh, for in my case, like I haven't been only once I have been asked about the IELTS certificate, but for other cases, no, they haven't asked me that. Like, do you have the certificate or something? Just because of my background and my enthusiasm, what I have done in my international schools. So just because of this, I got offer from
Okay.
international school, another country.
Okay,
Like
but
as a
let's go back even further. Before a person goes into the international school. So let's say you have a young person
Mhm,
in Azerbaijan who's finished secondary school, who's finished high school. They've got their,
mhm,
A levels or their high school diploma, and they
mhm,
decide they want to become a teacher.
mhm,
So in Germany, what happens is that they take their school leaving exams at the age of 18, 19,
mhm,
and then they do a 3-year bachelor degree that
mhm,
where they take 3 subjects. Two of those are the we call them teaching subjects. So a lot of my students have English and one
mhm,
other like biology or art or music as their second subject, and their third subject is educational science. So they do that
mhm,
for 3 years, and then they have to do a master's, because just with the bachelor they finish, they finish it
mhm,
with a BA, they can't
mhm,
go into the classrooms to teach. So they have to take, it is compulsory, they do
mhm,
have to do a 2-year Master of Education in the same subjects, in the same 3 subjects. And then
mhm,
they have a 1-year practicum in a school, which is also compulsory, it's part of the program. And then they're qualified. So qualification takes about 6 years if they follow through, and they don't digress, they don't have to repeat any modules or anything. From start to finish, qualification is about 6 years.
Mm.
What is it like? What's the system? What's the program in Azerbaijan?
For us also, like I studied 6 years, but 4 years for bachelor degree and 2 years in master degree. Even like some universities, they have the 5 years bachelor degree program. But for me, it was 4 years bachelor degree program and then 2 more years. But master degree, it's not compulsory. Even without master degree, you can start to teach in the government schools or even international schools. I see that now actually it's getting easier, because in my time, for example, if you study in the master degree, so it's very hard to get a job, because like you can study and work at the same time, they are overlapping. And but for now I see them, like some of the students, like they study in the master degree at the same time they started to work in the international schools. And I'm really surprised, even from bachelor degrees they start like a teacher assistant, and then so after graduating they start to teach. But yeah, I think now it's getting easier. I mean the situation. But for like in my time it was harder, and but it wasn't compulsory to study in the master degree. But it depends on the country. I think, for example, UK also has own the like expectations from the teachers. Maybe the Dubai, also the Middle East, so they have some requirements like a certificate qualifications. But for us, if you graduated from bachelor degree, you can start to teach in the government schools. And there is an exam. If you take an exam, so you will be like assigned for the schools based on your grade, based on your like result. And so then you can start to teach in any of the schools
So
after
you
bachelor degree.
don't So within your bachelor program, so anybody who wants to become a teacher, you just study the subjects that you want to teach. So for example, if I wanted to be an art teacher, I would just have to go and do a BA in art. Did
Yes, yeah,
I? Oh,
yes,
so you don't
yes, it
have,
was like that.
okay. So and you don't have any courses that cover, for example,
Uh-huh.
teaching methodology or things like that.
Yeah, we had like, but of course, like the qualification, the specialty, it was written in the diploma, teaching of
Ah.
biology. But for example, we had some courses like about methodology, pedagogy, also some biology subjects like biotechnology, biophysics, genetics, physiology, the human anatomy. So we had these courses like for the each term. But so this, like, is it, the teaching of biology, so um, they try to help to your like support your knowledge with biology side and education side, like to the fields. Like you have to get information about some research and topics, concepts about biology, and at the same time there's some pedagogical topics, concepts also you have to learn. So like
That's
both
cool.
fields.
So
Yeah, and
you're
also the internship, it's in the bachelor degree. Within the bachelor degree, we have the internship, and bachelor degree, master degree also has another internship within the 2 years. In both of
and
degrees, we have the internship.
okay. And the internships are in local schools, right? Or
Yes,
can they
because
do
like
it in international schools as
depends
well?
depends on the university, because like my university, it was a state university, and that's why they sent us to the local schools, like government schools. But if the university is like private, international, or something like this, so they can send to the international schools as well. But usually the state schools send to the, like, state universities send to the state school, the private universities they send to the private international schools.
And how long is the internship?
Internship, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 5 6 months, like one term was internship, one term we had to prepare the dissertation, the
Cool.
dissertation diploma. Yeah, yeah. For
Okay.
example, in my bachelor degree, the topic was about nanotechnology, and I had a research about how nanoparticles, like exact nanoparticles can impact to the plants. It was a bit biology field. But for the master degree, the topic was about the aesthetic education and how it can impact students' learning in the lower secondary. So my dissertation it was about this.
That's really interesting, I think. And the way you described it, where in the BA stage, your dissertation was more, related to the science. It was more science
Yeah,
focused.
yeah.
And then in the master, you
Master,
chose
yeah.
to
It
focus
was
more on
like
the,
more educational, yeah.
yeah.
Because like
But
for master degree, it's like for bachelor degree it was teaching of biology, but for master it was teaching of the methods and methodology of biology teaching, methods and methodology. So it was about like more that we learned more about methodology in teaching of biology.
okay, cool. So before we talk about our international careers in depth, here is this week's education news.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading!
Introducing Reading Solutions UK, home to Dreambox Reading Plus, the online reading development programme, improving outcomes for students and schools nationwide. Create stronger readers in your school from Key Stage 2 to beyond GCSE, using Reading Plus's evidence-based adaptive technology. Reading Plus accurately assesses your students' skills gaps and places them on a personalised learning pathway, built to accelerate their strengths and improve on their areas for development. You can try the program with a free 4-week pilot today. Search Reading Solutions UK to find their website and request your free pilot today.
How can you show your students the opportunities that await them? How can you fuel their aspirations and motivate them to achieve? Futurum Careers provides a wealth of stimulating resources aimed at encouraging 14 to 19-year-olds to pursue careers in STEM and SHAPE. We help you to show your students what they can aim for and how. From articles to activity sheets, animations to podcasts, all our resources align with Gatsby benchmarks and are free for you and your students to download. Visit futurumcareers.com and subscribe today. Futurum Careers, helping teachers to inspire the next generation.
Get set for the year ahead with the Bloomsbury Education Back to School sale. Save 30% on all Bloomsbury education books until 30th September. From the very best in research-led practice to trusted advice on inclusivity, behaviour and curriculum design, we've got something for everyone. Visit bloomsbury.com/B2S sale to shop now and save 30%. Bloomsbury Education, books for every step of your teaching journey.
Teachers, mark your calendars for BetUK 2025, the world's biggest EdTech event. Join over 30,000 educators at the Excel London from the 22nd to the 24th of January. Discover the latest EdTech innovations, network with peers and access hundreds of hours of CPD. Did we mention it's 100% free for educators? Whether you're looking for inspiration or practical tools to enhance your teaching, BET has it all. Don't miss this opportunity to shape the future of education. Register today at uk.betshow.com. That's uk.betshow.com.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News.
Two linked stories feature on the BBC News website. The first is an in-depth piece on tuition fees and government funding for higher education, with 141 UK universities now calling for change. Whilst many universities have previously made comments on the funding crisis, the BBC Today programme says Universities UK is now saying that a rise in tuition fees and more government investment is needed so that the sector does not slide into decline. This comes as record numbers of home students begin courses this month, but the number of international students is down. About 40% of universities are expecting to return a budget deficit this year, according to the regulator, the Office for Students. Universities UK says that if investment in teaching students had kept up with inflation funding per student, it would be in the region of £12,000 to £13,000. Higher Education Policy Institute says it would be politically difficult to put up fees, but there needs to be a decision about funding. Changes to visa rules and a currency crash in Nigeria have reduced applications for students from abroad, whilst the cost of living crisis means students now need about £18,000 a year to live on, but the maximum loan amount is £10,000. The full Today programme is available on BBC Sounds. Meanwhile, another story is the amount of debt graduates are leaving university with. The BBC focuses on those graduates who took out loans in England and Wales between 2012 and 2023, when interest rates hit 8%. The article tells the story of graduate Adam, who borrowed £44,000 and has paid back £7,000 since graduating 4 years ago, but now owes £54,000. Despite having a good job, his salary isn't even covering the interest on the debt, and the amount is going up, not down. This situation predominantly affects those on Plan 2 loans, with some graduates reporting that the repayments are making applying for mortgages difficult, and others viewing it as a tax on graduates. The Save the Student campaign group says it could, but shouldn't, put students off. Whichever way we look at it, it seems the issues of funding, tuition fees and student loans are something the government will need to tackle, although a Department for Education spokesperson acknowledged it's going to take time to get it right. In the world of online technology, something many young people use regularly, Instagram has said it is overhauling the way it works for teenagers. In a press release, it promised more built-in protections for young people and said it had added controls for parents. The new teen accounts have been introduced in the UK, as well as the US, Canada and Australia. This means privacy settings will be activated by default for all under 18s, including making content unviewable for people who don't follow them, and actively require approval for all new followers. Children aged 13 to 15 will only be able to adjust these settings by adding a parent or guardian to their account. The UK children's charity, the NSPCC, responded to Instagram's announcement by calling it a step in the right direction, but said it must also be backed up by proactive measures that prevent harmful content in the first place. Further details of this story can be found online. The Guardian reports on school uniforms in France. Uniforms have not been compulsory in state schools in France since 1968. They have made a return in one town to establish if they can reduce inequality and improve behaviour. The school uniform debate has long been a focus of discussion in the UK and has sometimes been seen as something of a polarising topic. In France, 700 pupils at 4 schools in Béziers are taking part in the scheme that the government says could be rolled out nationwide, if it is successful. A French government minister said, "We would like to see if wearing a uniform can create tranquility in classrooms, because we know you learn better in a peaceful environment." The mayor of Béziers said uniforms would help combat bullying, but a teachers' union said it was a superficial response to a fundamental problem and would in no way help resolve troubles. Some parents have objected to the uniform, saying that public schools should not ape the worst excesses of private schools. This was written in an open letter of protest. Uniforms were first introduced in France in 1802 by Napoleon, but have not been compulsory since 1968. Whatever the outcome of the pilot, it seems clear that the topic of uniform is a hot one. Finally, BBC Leicester covers the story of Billy, the emotional support tortoise, who can be found working in a Leicestershire school. Billy, aged 11, wanders the corridors and has a heart-shaped balloon attached to his shell so students can see him coming. He's described as a calming presence who works in the school's learning support department, helping students who are feeling overwhelmed. Billy has his own lanyard carrying his photo and his official title. He works hard to support pupils by being lovely, fun, and cute. This has been your Teachers Talk Radio News with Joe Fox.
Thank you very much, Joe, for compiling the news with us. Billy, the emotional support tortoise. My kids, my daughter who's in secondary school, at their school, they have a dog, an emotional support dog, and the kids love the dog. It's not a calming presence like Billy, the tortoise. It actually gets the kids really excited, but the school says it's a good thing to have. Well, welcome back anyway. Welcome back to the show. We are talking about our international experience. Sabina and I are reflecting on our years working outside our home countries, outside, where we've qualified. And I'd like to first, Sabina, explore why we chose to leave the comforts of our own home, right? The familiarity
Yeah.
of our own surroundings and make the move abroad. For me, Sabina, and the audience, for me, I moved out of necessity. I was in a place where I didn't have a full-time permanent contract, and I was, chasing a full-time permanent contract. I was sick and tired of moving from teaching position to teaching position, and that's why I made the move from Germany. I initially qualified in Germany, and then I moved to England for work. Sabina, why did you choose an international career?
For me, actually, like I worked in in total like 3 different schools in my country, and in the last school, I just some of my like overseas educators, my colleagues, they were always like telling me that, okay, Sabina, you should experience the being expat teacher overseas and like to different environments to work. And then I decided, because I knew that the financial situation, it is also good for the financial situation of the person. And for example, if you are like the local teacher, so you will earn the less than expat teacher. So in your place, of course, the salary, it was one of the reasons. Then to explore the different environment, different international schools, and to check that does it have the same in the another school, the same environment, same conditions, situation in another school in another country, and do they have the same like the environment in terms of the being international school, and to just experience the being overseas, and to really I was really curious about that, also the different culture, to explore different culture, different norms, and to meet with the like people, the foreigners, a lot of foreigners, because like if you are teaching in my country, if you are teaching in the international school, still there are people like they are from your country and still you speak in your language, like out of the classroom. So that's why I just wanted to experience that, to speak fully in English in the environment, and to teach only the like to experience, to teach the people, the students from different countries, different cultures. This is also challenging, and yeah, to see that like how international programs can be applied for in other countries. Is it the same or the different for the in terms of the approach for the education to students and the management also? Do they have the same approach for the teachers? Because I just came across some of the toxic environments. I had been in some toxic environments in my previous school, so I just decided that do they have the, I mean, not all the schools they have this environment. Maybe some of them they have really safe environment and a good place to work, peaceful place. So yeah, I just tried, because like always in my, even in my classes, I always tend to try the new methods, new the like techniques for the improving the learning process, the teaching process. and maybe it will work, maybe not, but still you will not regret that, okay, I haven't tried and I didn't know. So but it is better to try and then to see the result, what's happening. This is always like my approach. So it's like this, to try to work in different environment, different conditions, and to see that do they apply the same program, or do they have the same management style. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So just to backtrack then, if I were to summarize it, right, for me, I moved for the sake of financial stability and job security. In your case, after a couple of years in your school, you were encouraged to, take the plunge, so to speak, to take the leap. You were driven by curiosity. The way I understood it, you were driven by curiosity and you wanted to expand your horizons. And also part of it was financial, like you were saying, you earn a little bit more. I mean, prices everywhere are rising, right? There's inflation everywhere. And at some point you want to look, towards your future, your pensions, and what can you afford with your salary. Now, culture shock, Sabina, is a big thing. It's something that's frequently highlighted in the corporate sector. And I think you've mentioned that, things like management, do they do things the same as back where I am? Lessons, the kids, and all that. So this is a reality. Culture shock is a reality for teachers who move abroad as well. And I'd like for us to look first at your journey and then at mine. What are some of the biggest cultural differences that you've experienced yourself?
In the culture, like first in Myanmar, I was in the Myanmar the last year, and actually some of the the people from the management in my school, they said that, okay, Sabina, you're experiencing the cultural shock, but I couldn't tell that I've experienced the cultural shock a lot, or I couldn't feel a lot like the difference, because of course there were like some of the differences in the community, in the culture, in understanding, but I wouldn't tell it was a big deal for me, just because of I really did struggle in the climate, in the cuisine of the country, to find the same like fruits, vegetables, meals in this country, in the Myanmar, and also in the Singapore. So I just did struggle in this case, in the climate issue and to environment, I mean. But for the community or their like the culture, the specific habits, if they have, so no, I wouldn't tell that. Like I did struggle a lot. I tried to, because maybe I just tried to adapt to the environment, to follow their rules, because I was understanding that, okay, every community, every place, they have their own rules, understanding, perspectives, perception about respect. So that's why if you are in the place, so you have to follow the rules. You can't tell that, oh, okay, I'm not doing this thing in my country, so you just have to follow what is like asking to you to do. So that's why I just try to adapt for the rules, the same for the Singapore and the Myanmar, because like both of them are in Asia.
Right. Let's backtrack. Let's backtrack. Sorry to interrupt you. That what you've just said was really interesting. You said, right, that when you got to Myanmar, why do you go to these places that I can't pronounce? That you said when you got to Myanmar, somebody said to you, a colleague said to you, oh, you've got lots of experience with culture shock. They had assumed this because you had worked internationally before, and you made it seem like you were very familiar with how to deal with things, and anything that's surprising, that's shocking, that comes your way, how to deal with it. But what you're saying is that it's not so much the experience with culture shock, but your ability to adapt. Why is that important, this ability to adapt to a foreign environment? Why is that important? What does that do for you?
I have observed some of my anxieties, because I really had a lot of anxieties about I was anxious about the moving to the another place. And because imagine, I just moved to the Myanmar one day. Second day I went to the hospital. I had to go to the hospital because of my health situation. So I had to give a blood test because I had an allergy. It's just rise when I arrived to the Myanmar. And because of the anxieties, because of my anxieties, because I was really worried about that, to move to another country, to live alone, and how I can handle the every problem. Because I was living in with my parents in my country, and then I had to live alone in another country in different environment. So that's why I was really worrying about a lot of things. So it impacted my health situation, like physically. And so that's why I had to go to the hospital. That's why it wasn't easy to me to like transfer to the another country, another place. But for the Singapore, it was very smooth because it's my second country. I think that's why, like, to as an overseas. So that's why I just that I think that in this point, adapting to the new environment, it's very, very important. Like, if they don't want to um, experience this kind of the like health problems or something like this, so it is completely related, I think, with the stability in the mental health, like, to make you sure that, okay, you will able to figure out like everything alone. And so you just to motivate yourself. But it was just my first time, and that's why I did struggle in this issue to manage my like the anxieties, to keep them under my control. I just lost the control in the first like few days, and then then I tried to handle, and yeah, at least I think that I was successful. And my friends also helped me a lot. Like, I had some, like, I mean, I found some friends in from my colleagues, and so they really supported me a lot, like, motivated a lot during this process.
Mm. So that's really cool, this having friends, having colleagues. And I think what you were saying also is that, Myanmar was your first country. And it's not easy, I think, from what we hear, right? I think Myanmar is a challenging environment to work in, even for the best of us. And what you were saying about the anxiety, and you are right, anxiety can take its toll on our health. Friends are important. Colleagues, you've made friends through colleagues. You had supportive colleagues, and then you moved to Singapore. One of the things you mentioned about Myanmar was an issue. Well, let's not call it an issue, but what was different for you was food,
Mm-hmm.
right? You couldn't find the fruits or the vegetables
Mm-hmm.
that you liked, that you were familiar with. How has it been for you in Singapore? How is Singapore different to Myanmar and different to Azerbaijan for you?
Actually, in Myanmar, most of the meals are spicy, and it's not the low level spicy. It's very high level spicy foods, and so that's why it's very, very hard to eat the food and to find the food which is not spicy. And even it's not spicy, they give some like spice beside of the meal. So that's why I did struggle to find something which is not spicy, because, like, as I said, that when I went to the hospital, and I said that, like, I can't, I have an allergy, and when I ate the spicy foods, it started and to appear like Samraj. And he said that what are you doing here? Like you can't be in this environment because of the humidity was in the high level in the country, and also the spicy foods. And my organism, it was completely like because of I had a asthma, and so I can't stay in the humid environment for a long time, and also for the spicy foods, my allergy. So really the place was not the right place for me. This is what I have understood in the second day. But actually, during this year, when I felt okay, I'm really calm, I'm relaxed. So all the allergy, I haven't experienced the allergy the second time, or the asthma problem. So I was really the calm during this time. Only the spicy foods, they really eat a lot of spicy foods, but not in Singapore. Singapore, actually, it's very the modern country, and you can find the food, like a lot of fruits. And also, for example, in Myanmar, it was the first time I've experienced to eat the durian, dragon fruit, mango. In my country, we don't have these fruits, but in Asian countries, so they really eat this kind of fruits a lot. And also from the Myanmar, I have a bit experience with the Asian foods and fruits. So that's why in the Singapore now, the situation is better for me. And also in the Singapore, really like you can find a lot of the different types of the fruit and foods. So that's why it's easier to get any food which you want to eat.
Well, I mean, Singapore really is much more cosmopolitan than Myanmar. I would say I grew up in Singapore, and I know that you can get, super spicy Asian food. And then, you can't just say there's only one kind of Asian food. There's many different kinds. There's Malay, there's, ethnic Chinese, there's Indonesian, Vietnamese,
Western
Thai.
well.
And then you have what we call in Singapore Western food.
Yes.
So, right. And there's Burger King, McDonald's, Starbucks, and all that. So, and that kind of thing, isn't it? The comforts, I think the comforts of home. For me personally, food is really the comfort of home. And if I were to go somewhere and I didn't have food or drink that was familiar to me, I would struggle. I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, this is a horrible place and I'm leaving. But I would struggle, which probably explains why when I travel, I always bring tea bags with me. I like my black tea with sugar and milk, and I always bring my tea bags. Right now,
Nice.
before we're going to move to the next bit in our show, where we're going to talk about how the international experience has made us better teachers, stronger teachers. But before we get there, we're going to listen to some messages from our sponsors.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading.
Introducing Reading Solutions UK. Home to Dreambox Reading Plus, the online reading development program, improving outcomes for students and schools nationwide. Create stronger readers in your school from Key Stage 2 to beyond GCSE, using Reading Plus's evidence-based adaptive technology. Reading Plus accurately assesses your students' skills gaps and places them on a personalised learning pathway, built to accelerate their strengths and improve on their areas for development. You can try the program with a free 4-week pilot today. Search Reading Solutions UK to find their website and request your free pilot today.
How can you show your students the opportunities that await them? How can you fuel their aspirations and motivate them to achieve? Futurum Careers provides a wealth of stimulating resources aimed at encouraging 14 to 19-year-olds to pursue careers in STEM and SHAPE. We help you to show your students what they can aim for and how. From articles to activity sheets, animations to podcasts, all our resources align with Gatsby benchmarks and are free for you and your students to download. Visit futurumcareers.com and subscribe today. Futurum Careers, helping teachers to inspire the next generation.
Get set for the year ahead with the Bloomsbury Education Back to School sale. Save 30% on all Bloomsbury education books until 30th September. From the very best in research-led practice to trusted advice on inclusivity, behaviour and curriculum design, we've got something for everyone. Visit bloomsbury.com/B2S sale to shop now and save 30%. Bloomsbury Education, books for every step of your teaching journey.
Teachers, mark your calendars for BetUK 2025, the world's biggest EdTech event. Join over 30,000 educators at the Excel London from the 22nd to the 24th of January. Discover the latest EdTech innovations, network with peers and access hundreds of hours of CPD. Did we mention it's 100% free for educators? Whether you're looking for inspiration or practical tools to enhance your teaching, BET has it all. Don't miss this opportunity to shape the future of education. Register today at uk.betshow.com. That's uk.betshow.com.
Okay, so welcome back. We had just been talking about our international experience. We've been talking about the culture shock, things like going somewhere and not having the comforts of home, things that we're familiar with. For many people, it's food and drink. For other people, this could be ways of doing. So, when you're in one place, for example, in Germany, there may be certain processes and certain procedures that, run the way they do. So, like if I had to get my passport renewed, I'd know where to go, and I'd know, there'd be a website which would tell me what I needed to bring with me to renew my passport. And I'd go to my passport office, and then my application would be processed and I'd be informed as to how long it would take me. Or another thing, like say if I lost my bank card, my card that I used to pay at supermarkets and all that, if that were to get lost or stolen, I know what the procedure is. So I'm familiar with, how to do things. And this can be quite a shock to people if they were to move somewhere and maybe, as an expat, as a foreigner, your embassy isn't local to you and you've lost your passport or you needed some important paperwork, or you don't know the banking system, or your phone gets locked because you've made, you're out of your roaming zone and all that. We talked about such challenges. We talked about the anxiety that one might have when you move for the very first time from home, from living with your family, from working in a very safe and familiar environment to somewhere that's totally different. And, this anxiety can take its toll on your health. So those are some challenges. We talked briefly about culture shock and how it's important to adapt rather than go someplace, with the mindset of, well, this is how it works where I come from, and I don't understand why you're not doing it like that, and that's all wrong. I mean, that attitude just works absolutely against you. Well, my reasons for moving to the UK for work and then back to Germany for a better work-life balance are quite understandable. Sabina, your case is different in the sense that your priorities at this point in your career are different. I mean, I had a comfortable situation where you were living with your parents, right? So your priorities are different, and you can put up, or you do put up with the challenges that come your way, the discomfort, the initial shock, the homesickness. My question to you now, how has this experience helped you to grow, first of all, as a person?
Mhm. as a person, actually, first you will learn the new language, maybe some of the words, and you will have like you will build some relationships with the people from different countries. So you will find some, the common way for the understanding each others, and to find the common way, like to talk for the friendship. And also I really got a lot of information about different cultures, different the countries. For example, I'm always asking that, like, what's the culture like in the, for example, I have the students from the Japan, Korea, China, Vietnam, Latvia, from like the different countries. So sometimes I ask them, like, where are you from? Is it like what is in their culture? For example, 4th of October, it will be the international day. They will celebrate the international day in the school. And if I'm not mistaken, so from the 70 nationalities, from the 70 countries, we have we have the students and teachers. So that's why it's really very, very the interesting to talk with the people from the different countries, different cultures and background. And also you have mentioned like, that, for example, if something happens, so that where you need to go. It's very important, because like in Myanmar, I didn't have the embassy. Singapore as well, I don't have the embassy here, like my country doesn't have an embassy. So if something happens, so you need to go to the Indonesia, like the closest embassy is located in the Indonesia. And so actually the having embassy in the country, it is important. Also for example, the climate of the country is important, the cuisine of the country is important. But of course it is also related to what's your priority, like what's your priority to choose the country to work, or the professional, there is not only the one reason to choose the country to work. There are lots of the reasons to choose maybe some personal, some professional. So you think about that and then consider that, okay, I want to work in this country, I want to move to this country. And I think you need to find a lot of reasons. Actually, for even now, like, I'm asking myself that what can be a reason to live in another country as overseas, as a foreigner or expat teacher, for a long term. For example, like, I have a colleague and he's from UK. He has been in the Singapore since 1995, and he is working in the Singapore. And like, sometimes I'm asking myself that, like, what can be a reason for the person to stay in the one country, like the foreign country, for a long term. So maybe the safety, maybe the salary, or the situation, like the safety is one of the reasons, actually, for the most of the people. But I think this is the important question to ask yourself, that, like, what can be reason to move another country or to stay in this country for a long term.
Or love, right?
It's not easy, the process, because the process is not easy to get a visa, also to adapt to the environment, or to move another country. It's not easy. So that's why you have to take account everything when you move to another country to work.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you have, right, that physical challenge, right? So that's that's one way that we grow as people, the physical, the knowing, right? When you move, it's not like moving from one town to another, but you're moving from one country to another. So whenever you make such a move, you look at all the stuff that you have in your home, and depending on whether your employer is paying for the move or whether you're moving on your own, you kind of look at what you have and you reflect, do I need to bring this with me? Can this stay? Can I part with it? So you have that. I know people who've moved from the UK, who've moved from Australia, Ireland, and so on to Germany, to Austria, and end up staying there. Also for family, they've settled roots, or they've been away too long. They've just simply been away too long, that at the end of the day, it's just easier to stay put. I suppose ultimately what, the benefit of such an international career, and in your case, you've mentioned, what was it you said, 17 nationalities that you have in your school. You develop intercultural competence. You absolutely develop intercultural competence. You learn about different ways that, the kids, how they tick, how they do things, what's acceptable in their culture, what's expected from teachers in their culture. And then you have colleagues from different cultures, who've been, molded by their own teacher education. My next question to you, as a teacher, how has this international experience made you a better educator, a better teacher in your subject?
It will definitely change your perspective to the students for the education, because the management, how they behave with you, is completely different. Because if you are an expat teacher, so it means that so the school paid for your visa, the school paid for the something, sometimes like housing allowance they pay, and also the salary is a bit different than maybe the others. So of course, like um, so you are like an expert in the school, like a specialist, and so um, you will have maybe a bit more workload. Depends on the teacher, but still, it's usually like this. But the approach to the students, approach to the education, the curriculum, this is the different. Because like, let's say you are teaching the Cambridge, right? Cambridge is the same in my country, how they teach, and also the in Myanmar, in the Singapore, it's the same, because we are using the same framework, same learning objectives, and maybe the same textbook. So that's why the difference is like, how do you behave like as a teacher, what's your approach to the students, and in the child protection, the child safety issues, or the in the punishment, or in the misbehavior, how do you like respond to the misbehaviors, and also for example, some schools, they like maybe they really focus results, the academic results, but sometimes they focus their behavior, and to really help them, the students, they're growing as a global citizenship. So that's why, like, depends on the school, so they have different approach. Maybe we, as I said, that not for the curriculum, of course, like I've completed a lot of workshops, the seminars, courses, like during this time. And but before the coming here, before coming abroad, I was like working on this. I really completed a lot of workshops before moving to the abroad. But the issue is my approach has changed for the like how can I manage the situation in the classroom, the classroom management, and also the in terms of the behaving in the like how can I respond to the misbehaviors, and also the my approach in terms of this like social emotional learning. How can I support the emotionally? What is the limitation? What is the requirement? So I just identified for myself that okay, this is the limitation, this is the requirement, what I need to do. So always I try to make it clarify for myself that okay, I need to do this or I can't do that. So yeah, I just because like in different schools, I've taught different to the different the classes. So in every school I've improved myself. For example, last year it was the first time I was teaching the year 12, but it was successful because the results really good. It was really good in the classroom. And for this year, the for example, the school maybe approach for the students, it's like the social emotional learning and also the child protection. They really take care about it, they really take seriously these issues. Of course in some the schools also, but here I observed a lot like they really take care about it. And I think it's also important, it's very important for the in the schools. But in every school I have tried to learn something like from the other teachers' methods, and to improve myself, my methods. And even not even from the school to school, even from class to class, it's different. Like the students level, how you can behave with them, or how you can teach with them, like what methods you can apply. So that's why I think during this process I've improved a lot. Like personally, I've criticized myself. How can I improve my teaching methods? Maybe I can do something differently. So yeah, this is my, the approach in my professional development. I never try to compete with other people. I just try to compete with the yesterday version of mine, and to improve myself. Yeah, to improve myself, the somehow is that like to learn the new things, and to customize, to make it, try to make it differently for myself, to adapt for my classroom. And yeah, that's why I think that if I have achieved something, I have been successful just because of this too, because I was always competing with myself, my all the like
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I'll just stop you there. I'll just stop you there. I really like what you said, to be a better version of my yesterday self. I really like that. That's my takeaway. I think, dear listeners, that should be your takeaway, too, that we should always strive to be a better version of, our yesterday self. What you were saying, Sabina, I think it all boils down, that intercultural experience, and what you're saying about the schools that you have been in personally. They were all, they all taught according to the same curriculum. They were in different places, but they all taught to the same curriculum, yet at the same time, how the teaching was done in the classroom, that varied from place to place. And I think a lot of what you end up doing, a lot of what you've ended up doing, has to do with what you're saying about adaptability and observing, watching, learning. And I think, what you're saying is that you've been hired as, as a specialist, as an expert, and yet at the same time, you're always learning and trying to do better. And I think that's because you are in the situation where you're working with students from very many different backgrounds,
Yeah.
right? You can't just have a one size fits all.
Exactly.
You can't just have a one size fits all solution.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like what you said there, to be a better version of my yesterday self.
Yeah, even I tell to my class, like the class, my students, like the last year 12 students, I was telling them that, okay, the students, just try to be best version of yourself, the like than better than yesterday. This is the most important, because if you are competing with the others, there is always someone who is like the maybe the most improved or the least improved. But you have to just look at your the improvement track and just your progress. If you focus on your progress, so you will able to analyze, criticize yourself, your like actions, and how you can take action for the moving forward. So I think this is important for the like personal and professional development as well.
Thank you. Last question for you. Would you ever go back to your home country to teach?
One day, yes, I think so, but not during this next 2 years. But I don't know when, but I think it will happen one day. But I don't know the exact time.
Okay.
I'm not planning for now.
Okay, but I am sure, though, I think I'm quite convinced that when you do actually go back home to teach, you'll be a stronger teacher. So that's all we've got time for today. I've enjoyed reflecting on our experiences. You've been really gracious with your time, Sabina. Thank you so much for being with us today. And before we go, just a reminder to everyone that we've got many other live shows this week, and you can find them here on Podbean or listen back through our website. Thank you, Sabina.
Thank you so much, really. I'm very grateful for this conversation because I also enjoyed a lot, and the same for the last conversation of us and for today as well. So
Yeah.
I'm just thankful to you.
Thank you for your stories.
It's my pleasure.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.